What's going on, everybody? Gentleman94 here. Welcome back to Ben Build. This is episode 7 on our Spiffy Tiffy buddy build, and we are working with paint today. We're going to be working with this Vallejo paint. I'm going to show you what we have later on, but first, whoops, made a little bit of a mistake. Now, last episode I put on all of these different parts and pieces, and I neglected to remember that there are some black identification lines that are supposed to be painted over the outside of these gear doors. They run right along the bottom of the wing. These are going to be very difficult to paint now because, whoops, I added the landing gears on before I probably should have. I got a little overzealous in trying to get this thing completed, and I was having so much fun putting parts together, I just slapped them on and glued them down without thinking I might need to wait. So now we have a little bit of a masking nightmare to contend with. So that's going to be a bit of a troubled area. Oh boy, it's going to be a tough one. Now before I go ahead and start on those, I wanted to work a little bit on the pre-shade. And I'm going to use this Tamiya NATO Black. This is great stuff. I love it. XF69. It's black, but also a bit of a greenish hue to it. So it's not so stark. We're going to mix them up with some isopropyl, and we're going to go ahead and pre-shade the entire aircraft. All right, everybody, so I have my mixture all set up. We went some isopropyl alcohol, 70%, and of course our NATO Black, and we're tracing all the panel lines, getting everything shaded before we put on paint. Now, I kind of like doing this because I don't always prime my models, even though I probably should. This pre-shade kind of acts a bit like a primer because it tends to cover the majority of the aircraft in another color. And after a while, we go ahead and paint over that, and it's fine, it's decent. I haven't had any issues with it. Unfortunately, I'm becoming less and less a fan of panel line shading just because it doesn't always show up. You have to be very careful with how much paint you actually put onto the aircraft so that these will actually show through. They won't disappear. But we're going to continue with our project, do the pre-shade and the post-shade here, and just see what happens. Okay, so the whole aircraft has been panel line shaded. Everything on the top and the bottom, even the wheel wells, everything is ready for the next stage. And we're going to have to be very careful because now we got to paint the aircraft. We can't go too dark because we don't want to cover up those panel lines, but we can't go too light because we don't want it to be too stark. So it's a bit of a trade-off. Now the colors I'm going to use here, we have on the bottom, we have a light gray. I have this Vallejo light gray right here, which I'm hoping will be a decent color. That all gets done on the bottom there. For the top, we have a green and a gray. The green color is this dark green, and the gray color is this kind of a darker gray. I call it engine gray. I don't know if it's really going to work. It might be a little bit dark, but we'll see how it ends up on the model. Then, of course, for the silver here, we have aluminum, and we're going to use that for the wheel wells and the landing gears, the doors, all of that good stuff. We also have the black, of course, which is flat black, and we have some yellow here, and the white as well on the nose. Okay, so I put together a little bit of a mixture of the Vallejo aluminum and some thinner, and I'm just going ahead and painting the inside of the wheel wells. Nothing fancy. I'm going to do most of this off camera, and then we can come back and start with the light gray. So wish me luck. Let's get going. All right, so I've been working a bit off camera here, and we have our wheel wells painted, and we have half the wing done with light gray. And I'm hoping you guys can see the subtle differences that we have here. But I'm going to continue moving along here with the light gray. I'll have hopefully very minimal overspray. Unfortunately, the aluminum sprayed everywhere. I'm not really used to working with natural metal colors, and it's very difficult to get those to atomize and mix well with thinner. But I think it looks decent enough, and I'm going to be using the airbrush in the light gray, so I should basically cover up any mistakes I may have made. I think this is going to go all right, so I'm going to finish off the wing. We'll come on back, and I'll show you what I come up with. And here we are. The whole bottom of the aircraft has been painted. We have the silver in the wheel wells. We also have the light gray color, and we have a bit of a panel shade line coming through with the NATO Black we did before that. Actually, the paint that came out of the bottle was a little on the darker side, so I ended up mixing it with a bit of white just to give it a little bit of a contrast. It looks pretty decent. We're going to move on to the next section now and let this dry. So I'm going to move on to the masks. Now we have these beautiful masks that are meant to be used for the canopy, the windows, the doors, all of that good stuff. Now we're going to have to mask the inside of the door, which also needs a PE part as well, but I'm not going to put that on quite yet. I'm going to wait till after I go ahead and paint everything, get that thing good, ready to go. We're going to use our masks though and mask up the cockpit, the canopy, the wheels, main wheels of course, and anything else we can figure out. So these are really cool. I haven't had a lot of experience with masks, but I'm really excited to use these. So I'm going to use my pin vise here, and we're just going to pop these masks out bit by bit and put them on to the canopy. We're going to start there, of course. So let's see how this one fits on here. And line it up. There we are. All right, perfect. Now let's push it down, and there we go. Wow, that's actually really easy. I've been making a lot of my own masks for different projects, but this is actually a lot easier than what I've been doing. But still, I don't always want to pay money for masks. So let's go ahead and try the next one here. We're going to work towards the front of the windscreen and get one of the side panels here. Again, with my pin vise, I'm just going to pop this edge up. There we are. Take my tweezers, pull it right off the backing. There we go. And just stick it on down to the windscreen. Make sure this is all lined up though. I don't want it to be off center. There we are. All right, push it down. Let's look at it. Oh, slippery little devil. Yeah, I like it. It looks pretty good. All right, I'm going to move on, get it all finished up. All right, so I've been working off camera here, and I have the entire masking setup here on the canopy. And that was really actually super easy to do. I love it. Let me zoom in and show you a closer look here. As you can see, they're all cut out and they're placed on. I really think that this is a simple, super easy way to get these things masked. I'm going to use this Tamiya tape though, and we're going to fill in the openings here that weren't actually supplied in the mask. Now the Tamiya tape I'm using here has just been cut into small squares. I've been doing a lot of masking on my Enterprise recently, and I have all these extra spare masks that I've been cutting for different shapes and sizes. We're going to be using some of these extra ones that I'm not using for the Enterprise. We're going to throw them here onto the Tiffy canopy. And I don't really have to worry too much about the lines because I just want to cover up the center section that doesn't have anything covering it. So you can see here I've done the top and also the door. Those are all ready for paint. And this is the completed canopy right here. As you can see, Tamiya tape covering up the openings that were left uncovered by the masks. I also have taken the opportunity to use the masks on the wheels. And I actually used the reverse mask. I didn't actually use the one that came with it. It was as it was intended to be used. This is the way the bottom of the aircraft looks. This is actually mostly dry. We have to do a bit of work up here in the nose, but other than that, the bottom is good. The top needs to be worked on. So we're going to put this aside though and continue with our wheels. As you can see here, the masks are on and they really fit nicely. It's got to give Edward some props for this one because they are super easy to use. One last thing I want to paint before I put away my airbrush and the black paint, I wanted to paint the wing walks. Now they have wing walk masks that they supply here in the kit. So I'm going to paint this whole area flat black, and after it dries, I'm going to stick down those masks and then we'll paint the rest of the top of the aircraft. Probably next episode though, because I've still got a lot to do on the bottom of this aircraft. So let's go ahead and continue painting. After this is all done, we're going to let this dry and then flip it over and work on the bottom. All right, everybody. So now it's on to the bottom of the aircraft, and I have to paint these 8 identification marks here on the bottom of the wing. To do that, I need to use some tape. I need to use some ingenuity, and I need to come up with a way to mark these off to get these looking the part. Now, I figured that a 6mm tape, right, like about this size, is great, but I'm out of it. This blue Dymo tape actually is 6mm, and that will be a perfect dimension for our black lines. So now I have to map it out. I have to have 4 that go across each wing. It's going to get hectic, though, with the fact that I installed the outer doors, because these have to be on the outer doors as well. So using a combination of the panel lines and just basic eyeing different parts and pieces, I figured out a decent amount of measurement to get these things strung out across the wing. Hopefully they look the part. We're going to mask them off. We're going to use 6mm tape as our guide, and we're going to cover the outer areas with this 10mm masking by Tamiya. Hopefully that will be good enough. We can get this thing rolling. This is going to be tough. It's going to take me a while to mask these off, but I think if I can do it right, it'll look pretty decent. Okay, here we are. I have finished my masking for one part of the wing. As you can see, I have all the marks here, even on the landing gears. I've got that, and I've got the inside door here marked as well. So now the hard part is to go ahead and now paint, and hopefully these look correct. So we have 6mm width here, and we have 13mm width on the tape. Once these are all finished up, we have to move to the next side and see what we can do. So I've got my black paint loaded up in the airbrush. I'm going to go ahead and start here on the outside and work my way to the inside. Just work it, get it done. All right, so moment of truth, guys. Let's get this paint down on top of this wing and see what happens. I'm using a flat black paint, of course. I'm going about 2 parts thinner, 1 part paint. And it's, again, Tamiya paint, so it's super smooth. I love Tamiya paint. I'm just going to take it nice and easy. I'm just going to take a nice smooth approach to this and try to cover all the area without having to go over and get a bunch of overspray everywhere. So I'm going to continue along here. I'm going to paint all of these lines, including the doors for the landing gears and the inside doors. And I'll come on back and I'll show you how it turns out. So keep your fingers crossed. Let's hope this turns out beautifully. All right, everybody. So I'm painting the last stripe right now. And so far, the paint's covered nicely. I don't think we have any major leaks. I think everything is nice and secure. And I think this is going to look great. Seems to be going on smoothly. Everything looks good. So let's go ahead. I'm going to finish off painting this. Then we're going to pull the masks and we're going to see what we did. Hopefully there's no damage. Everything looks good. And here we are, guys. I have finished off the masking on one wing. I've painted everything. We've pulled off the masking. Yeah, and I'm actually very pleased. I think it looks the part. I like the measurements. It looks pretty similar to what the instructions tell me it should look like. And I'm happy. So we have to reproduce that onto this other wing as well. So that's going to be a little hectic, but I got a good plan. So let's do it. All right, just to reiterate my plan here, I used this 6mm Dymo tape as my template. That's going to be, again, the black stripes. I've got my Tamiya 10mm tape on the outside for masking. I've got a 6mm marking in between and another, section of 10mm Tamiya. All right, guys, we're all done. This is what's left of the masks. I've pulled them off. All the paint is dry. Let me show you. Here we are. This is what we've come up with. As you can see, we've got the 4 lines on each wing. They're 6mm in width, 13mm spacing in between each of the black lines, and I think it looks fine. I think it looks the part. Looks like what the instructions tell me to do. The paint is nice and dry. Came out super smooth, as Tamiya paint usually does. I'm very happy with this. Now, is it exactly 100% equal? No. The one wing is a little off, but I got a little overspray here and there as well. It's not 100% perfect, but it's decent enough for looking at it with the naked eye. Hopefully no one will take out a ruler and start measuring things, but shouldn't be a problem. So for this episode, guys, we're going to call it quits. I've done a lot of masking, a lot of painting on this thing. I think I'm good. Next episode, we're going to hit the white on the nose, hit the gray and the green on top, plus the yellow identification marks we have to do for the wing as well. Like I said, this white nose here is going to be interesting because I have to figure out how exactly to mask it on there without getting paint everywhere. But other than that, guys, we are done for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Till next time, guys, keep on building. We'll see you soon.